The part 2 of our discussion on accounting for foreign currency will focus on accounting for foreign currency translation. Okay, class, this is also applicable for PAS 21. The standard applicable for this topic is also applicable same with our forex transaction. The discussion will focus first, dapat muna nating malaman kung ano yung nature ng foreign currency translation. It's very important that we know the definition and the concept of functional and presentation currency. We will be discussing in detail the difference between monetary and non-monetary and the translation methods that we are going to use when there are foreign currency translation. Let's define first what is a foreign operation. It is an entity that is a subsidiary, an associate, or joint venture or branch of a reporting entity, the activities of which are based and conducted in a country or currency other than those of the reporting entity. So, kapag ikaw ay isang Philippine company class, okay, so for example, Philippine company ikaw, you have either a subsidiary. So, pag subsidiary, ano nga? We have a 51% or more na ownership, diba? Associate 20 to 50%. Okay. So if ikaw ay si big company here in the Philippines at meron ikaw associate sa ibang bansa, right? Or pwedeng may joint venture ka. Pag sinabing joint venture, ikaw ay may joint control, right? Or meron kang branch, may extension ka ng operations mo by means of branch. And ang activities na yon ay hindi based sa Philippines, okay? So yung kanyang operations ay hindi sa Philippines, meaning sa ibang bansa or overseas. Yun yung tinatawag na foreign operation natin, right? So it's very important that we know kung ano yung foreign operation kasi ito yung essence kung bakit may tinatawag tayo na accounting for foreign currency translation. It's important that we know kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng foreign currency translation. It is the process of expressing our monetary amounts that are stated in terms in a foreign currency into the currency of a reporting entity by using an appropriate exchange rates. Okay, anong ibig sabihin? Going back dun sa example natin, kapag may Philippine company ka at ikaw yung parent, meron kang subsidiary sa ibang bansa. For example, ito ay nasa Korean. And we all know then since ito ay foreign operation, yung subsidiary mo na nasa Korea, yung kanyang financial statements ay naka-expressed sa Korean won. But of course, since yung parent company niya is nasa Philippines, yung natutunan natin sa ating consolidated FS na dapat yung parent and subsidiaries ay nakakonsolidate yung financial statements natin. So therefore, kailangan i-translate natin, express natin yung financial statements from Korea won to our Philippine peso. For the reason na siya yung parent, kailangan i-combine natin yung kanilang financial statement. Hindi pwede na naka-Korean won yung financial statement ng subsidiary mo bago mo siya i-combine. So, dapat i-translate mo siya muna into Philippine peso. Okay? Anong method yung gagamitin? Paano natin siya ita-translate? Nakadepende sa scenario natin. In which, the scenario will more focus on the analysis ng functional currency ng iyong subsidiary ng iyong associate or joint venture or branch. Let us define, class, what is a functional currency. Okay? Pag sinabing functional currency, it is the currency of the primary economic environment in which the entity operates. Okay. Pag sinabi mong primary economic environment, class, it is explicitly stated on PAS 21 na doon mo na-generate primarily, especially if it is related more on your operations, yung pag-generate mo ng cash or pag-disburse mo ng cash. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng primary economic environment. Okay? So going back on the example, no, PH company and your Korean subsidiary, if kung yung Korean subsidiary mo, most ng kanyang pag-disburse at pag-generate ng cash, no, syempre mag-generate siya ng cash through collections from the customers, and yung ganong activities niya is sa Korea, okay, nangyayari. Meaning, yung primary economic environment niya ay nandun sa Korea. Okay, because greatly influenced ng generation of cash niya and yung pag-expend ng cash niya is doon sa Korea. Meaning, the functional currency will be on or will be in Korean wons. Kasi, yung kanyang primary economic environment is sa Korea mismo. Therefore, yung kanyang functional currency is Korean won. Okay. However, pwede din na kapag may branch ikaw sa Korea, ikaw ay PH company, you have Korean branch, pero yung pag-generate and expend of cash is happening in the Philippine company or in the Philippines. So, hindi siya ini-influence ng Korean country yung kanyang pag-expend and pag-expend and generate and cash. Okay? So, most of its operations like generation and disbursement of cash ay nangyayari sa Philippines. Yung kanyang functional currency on this scenario is Philippine peso, class. Because yung kanyang primary economic environment, yung operations niya ay nangyayari sa Philippines, yung pag-generate and expend in cash. So if you have seen this scenario, normally, pag yung functional currency mo ay yung Korean won on this setup, normally independent yung subsidiary mo, yung branch mo from the parent. While if dependent, no, yung iyong foreign subsidiary doon sa parent company, normally the functional currency is the parent. Okay? So yung scenario na makikita natin dyan. Right? But on the determination class of the functional currency, there are different factors and indicators. Number one, no, if yung country na yon is mostly na-influence yung sales price ng product mo, for example, doon sa Korean, yung pag-set mo ng price is greatly affected by the Department of Trade and Industry sa Korean, yung regulatory authorities sa Korean, yun yung nagdedetermine ng sales price mo, yung competitive forces, and yung labor materials and other cost mo, okay, is mostly affected by the Korean government or Korean market factors. Your functional currency is in or will be in Korean wons. Additional or secondary indicators is normally kung sa country na yon, no, doon mo na-generate yung funds mo, doon ka nag-i-issue ng debt and equity securities mo, and yung operating activities mo are usually retained in the Korean country kung saan nag-i-exist or nag-ooperate yung subsidiary mo. Okay? So it can be also a form of financing, and most of the operating or receipts from operating activities are usually retained in Korea. So yun yung functional currency na tinatawag. Next, class, is the presentation currency. So, from the word itself, presentation, no? It is the currency kung saan yung financial statements mo are presented. Okay? So, if your parent company is a Philippine company, your presentation currency will be Philippine pesos kasi kailangan mong i-consolidate yung financial statements mo with your parent. So, kailangan i-translate mo siya into Philippine peso. Right? That is presentation currency. The next slide class will focus on the discussion on the difference between your monetary and non-monetary. So, I've already introduced this on our previous slide, diba? Or rather, our previous discussion on foreign currency transactions. So, pag sinabi mo lang monetary items, kapag yung account na yun ay may in-expect ka na marireceive or magbabayad ka ng fixed or determinable units of currency, so tatandaan lang always, fixed or determinable units of currency, yung item na yon is a monetary item. In this slide, I have listed down, no? Nakalista na dito yung ating mga most common example of our monetary items. So, meron tayo dyang syempre yung cash and cash equivalents natin, 'di ba? We have your loans and receivables, including your allowances. So, always remember na na-include dito yung allowances mo kasi sila evaluation account no, ng loans and receivables mo. We will also include here, class, yung tinatawag mo na unearned discounts, yung mga discount mo on notes receivable, since valuation account din sila against your loans receivable. So, if nakikita nyo yung most of the characteristic of these monetary items, ay makaka-receive ka ng fixed or determinable units of currency kasi you expect collection and yung ma-expect mo na collection na yon is naka-fix or yung kanyang units of currency is fixed or determinable. Okay? So, finance lease receivable, financial assets at amortized cost. So, mostly this is your investment in bonds in amortized cost, di ba? Yung mga long-term bond investment natin. Since they are measured at amortized cost. For liabilities part, basta makaka-paid ka or makakabayad ka in fixed or determinable units of currency, these are considered as your monetary item or monetary liability to be specific. Okay, so yung mga trade payables mo, like your accounts, your notes, your financial liabilities at amortized cost. Okay, so yung bonds payable mo, di ba? Pag financial liabilities at amortized cost. Since yung bonds payable natin, ay may-measure natin siya sa amortized cost and nagbabayad tayo ng fixed number of units or determinable units of currency. Accrued expenses, and of course, yung pensions payable in cash, no? Since pag payable in cash siya, you paid fixed or determinable units of currency, number of units of currency. Pag liability for refundable deposit, since it is refundable by cash, it is considered as monetary. Otherwise, non-monetary siya because of the absence of a fixed or determinable number of units of currency. Pag yung provisions ay masisettled in cash, so may mga warranties na yung pag-settle is in the form of cash, di ba? So, if that provision is to be settled in cash, it will be considered as a monetary item. Otherwise, non-monetary siya, which will be discussed in detail on the next slide. Obligations under finance lease, so opposite siya sa finance lease receivable on the books of the lessee. So, pag lease liability tayo or obligations under finance lease, we will consider it also as part of our monetary asset. Okay, monetary asset siya. Pag obligations under finance lease. So, tatandaan lang, pag yung nature ng account na yon is nakaka-receive ka or nakaka-pay ka ng fixed or determinable number of units of currency, considered siya as monetary items. On the other hand, we have non-monetary items. Pag hindi niya pinoposes yung characteristic ng non-monetary items, meaning there is an absence on the right to pay or absence yung fixed or determinable number of units of currency, it will be non-monetary. Of course, your long-term assets or your non-cash assets like inventories, prepaid rent, insurance, and advertising, di ba? Hindi ka naman siya makaka-receive ng fixed or determinable number of units of currency. Okay? Property, plant, and equipment, intangible assets, of course, your financial assets held for trading, kasi ito ay more on the fair value, no? Changes in fair value siya. So, therefore, hindi ka naman makaka-receive or pay ng fixed or determinable number of units of currency. And of course, the items na subject to depreciation and amortization, by its nature, it's non-monetary talaga. And liabilities that are part of your services yung nire-render, yung provision of services yung dapat na obligation nila, like your deferred revenues, yung advances from customer, na may advances ka from customer in the future sale, and provisions na isi-settled by the delivery of the non-cash assets. Alright? So, if may mga provisions tayo na yung settlement niya is nagre-require ng delivery ng non-cash asset, it is considered as non-monetary in nature. Okay, like for example, provisions or services na i-rendered mo. Okay, or may deliver ka na non-cash assets in the settlement of that provisions, no, or that obligation. Okay, so sa warranties, applicable din siya. Basta yung warranties, hindi siya nasa-settled through cash, delivery of non-cash assets, or provision of services, those provision is non-monetary in nature. We will include our share capital and share premium as part of our non-monetary items. Okay? So, this is very important class, especially sa second method later na gagamitin natin. Kaya, ine-emphasize natin yung classification na dapat alam natin yung classification ng ating monetary and non-monetary. Let's proceed now to the different methods that we will be using in the translation of our foreign currency financial statements. First class is your current rate method. So, alam naman natin kung ano yung functional currency, di ba? So, ito lang yung dapat tatandaan natin. Sorry. We will take note, no, when we are having or we will be using the translation method, current rate method. Pag yung functional currency niya is pareho doon sa kanyang local currency. So pag sinabi mong local currency class, no, yan yung currency, yung main currency niya sa country kung saan siya. For example, doon sa example natin kanina na Korean company, syempre yung local currency niya, kailangan nyo din i-report yung kanyang financial statements sa kanyang country. Diba? So that is Korean won. So, if most of the or yung kanyang primary activities ay naka-base talaga, yung mga influences or factors ay doon talaga sa Korean, yung magiging functional currency niya is the same with its local currency, which is the Korean won. Okay? But the presentation currency, since may parent company siya with your Philippine company, the presentation currency should be in Philippine peso if the parent company is in the Philippines. This is a straightforward method, no, na type of translation natin. So, for example, here I illustrated, if the local currency is Japanese yen and yung kanyang primary economic environment ay nasa Japan, therefore, yung functional currency niya is your Japanese yen. If, of course, if subsidiary siya ng Philippine company, the presentation currency will be in Philippine peso. Right? The current rate method class focuses on the concept that this is a presentation from the functional currency rather, to the presentation currency. Meaning, yung kanyang financial statements in functional currency in Korean won should be translated to the Philippine peso, which is the presentation currency niya, yung Philippine peso na. Okay, so FC, yung FC dito class meaning functional ha. So I'll just put na lang F dash or F sub U para mas ma-emphasize natin siya compared dun sa FC natin na foreign currency talaga yung meaning niya. Okay? So generally, yung kanyang concept ng current rate method is from functional currency to presentation currency niya, knowing that the functional currency is the same with its local currency. So what I've mentioned, the current rate method is more straightforward. Yung kanyang translation procedures. Bakit? Yung pag-classify ng item as monetary and non-monetary dito ay not applicable. Okay? So, hindi siya applicable yung pag-classify natin. No? So, since it is straightforward, lahat ng assets mo at liabilities ay naka-closing rate siya. Okay? The rate on the date of the statement of financial position. So, wala kang kailangan i-classify na asset and liability dyan as monetary or non-monetary. Basta lahat ng assets and liabilities are translated using the closing rate. Because sa word na current rate, okay, lahat ng assets and liabilities mo ay dapat naka-current rate. Kasi nga, current rate method yung ginagamit. Always remember, kung kahit anumang method class, yung share capital and share premium mo ay always historical rate or kung ano yung rate at the date of issuance. So, relevant talaga yung date of issuance natin sa ating share capital and share premium. Always take note of that. Paano naman, sir, pag retained earnings? Nasa next slide yung ating translation ng retained earnings. So, dyan natin malalaman sa next slide kung bakit ko siya sineperate. All income and expenses should be translated using the exchange rate at the date of transaction. So, meaning the actual rate kung kailan sila nangyari, yun yung gagamitin mo na rate. Okay? For example, you have sales of 1 million today and your current exchange rate is 0.3. So, 1 million times 0.3 yung gagamitin mo. But for practical reasons, especially when we are answering problems in AFAR, okay? So, for practical reasons, since madami, normally ito yung mga pinakamadaming transactions, your income and expenses. So, yung gagamitin mo is average rate, no? For practical reasons natin. Okay? So, yan yung tatandaan naman natin pag income and expenses. If it is not, what to call this? If the rates are not consistent or meaning yung exchange rates are material, yung fluctuations niya or significant yung fluctuations niya, the average rate is not recommended. No, kasi nga, fluctuation, malaki yung nagiging fluctuation if fluctuation is significant. Okay? If significant yung fluctuation. So, hindi siya recommended. But normally, pag nag-answer tayo ng problems on your AFAR, average rate talaga always the income and expenses under the current rate. So, mas straightforward to compared mamaya sa second method natin. Ito na. So, bakit kailangan nung i-separate na slide yung pag-translate kay retained earnings? Because may component siya, class. No, sa current rate method. So, sa current rate method, since may component siya, iba-iba yung gagamitin mo na rate. So, before mo ma-determine yung retained earnings ending mo under the current rate method, kailangan mo siya munang isa-isahin yung component niya. Right? Of course, if there is a beginning balance of your retained earnings, normally, may mga problems na yung translated amount niya is already given. Okay, may mga ganong amounts sa ating mga problems na nakastate na agad kung ano yung translated balance ng retained earnings beginning natin. But yung pinaka the best na rate na gagamitin mo if hindi pa na-determined, hindi pa na-state yung retained earnings mo na translated balance, beginning na retained earnings translated balance, historical rate yung gagamitin mo. The rate on the first day of the year, which is January 1. Of course, the next component of your current rate method is addition for net income minus net loss. So ito, kailangan mo lang doon mag-refer sa na-translate mo na income and expenses. Knowing that the net income is doon siya makukuha sa translated income natin minus translated expenses. And of course, yung account na dinededuct natin sa ating retained earnings is what we call as your dividends. So, ito, importante naman sa dividends is gagamitin natin yung exchange rate at the date of your declaration. So, yan lang yung tatandaan. So, the balance will be your retained earnings ending, and ito yung i-add natin syempre as part of your statement of financial position. To continue with this method, punta tayo na sa statement of financial position since kompleto na yung mga translated natin na net income at yung retained earnings natin. So, kailangan natin i-translate si assets again using the closing or the current rate. Your liabilities and equity, so ima-minus natin siya dyan. So, take note, si liab mo naka-current rate, but si equity ay naka-historical rate or based doon sa rate at the date of the issuance niya, no? Exchange rate at the date of issuance. So, yung equity mo will also include your retained earnings ending. Okay, take note of that ha. So, liabilities and equity. Ano lang siya? Same lang siya sa accounting equation. Pero since this is translation, and nag-translate tayo from one currency to another, from functional currency to presentation currency, we expect that there will be a balancing figure called as your translation gain or loss, or tinatawag mo na cumulative translation adjustment. So we expect it. Bakit natin in-expect yung translation gain or loss? Because of the difference on the exchange rates. Alright? Since Korean won tayo, yung functional currency natin ay kailangan natin siya i-present sa Philippine peso, kailangan mo siya i-translate sa Philippine peso. And knowing the nature of foreign currency, nagfa-fluctuate siya. So on this method, current rate method, when you compute for the translated assets minus your translated liability and equity, you will arrive at the balancing figure of translation gain or loss, which is considered as part of your other comprehensive income. It is presented as part of a separate equity component, meaning after retained earnings, makikita mo si cumulative translation gain or loss. Later on, pwede siyang ma-reclassify kapag yung foreign operation mo ay nabenta na or na-dispose. So take note of its presentation. Yan yung balancing figure mo after natin ma-minus yung untranslated assets and translated liabilities and equity. Okay? So if the translated asset class is greater than the translated liabilities and equity, you will arrive at a gain. So meron kang translation gain. So credit. Meaning kung credit, mag-a-add ka, i-add yan sa translated liabilities mo and equity para maging balance yung financial statements mo. So pag gain, since credit siya, tumaas, so i-add mo siya sa translated liabilities and equity. But if the translated assets is less than your translated liability and equity, so translation loss naman yon. Okay? So ima-minus mo naman to. Dapat naka-negative siya kasi liabilities and equity, para mag-balance magbalanse siya sa asset natin, kailangan mo siya i-minus. Okay? Kasi mas maliit yung translated asset versus kay translated liability and equity. Take note, pwede mo siya i-transfer sa P&L or profit or loss kapag mabenta na yung foreign operation. Okay, I hope natutunan na or may na-learn tayo sa current rate method. So, mas straightforward siya compared sa next natin na discussion na type of method natin. We'll consider now, or the next method, the temporal method. Okay. Here naman, the quick guide na pwede mong i-master here for the temporal method is yung kanyang functional currency is the same with the parent entity. Okay? So, if babalikan natin yung example natin na yung local currency niya is naka-Korean won, and for example, yung primary economic environment niya is nasa Philippines or most of its operations are retained in the Philippines. Therefore, its functional currency is the PHP or the Philippine peso. And since it is a subsidiary of your Philippine company, yung kanyang presentation currency ay Philippine peso. Same with the functional currency. Okay? So if current rate method is we translate from functional currency to the presentation currency, our temporal method is just simply we translate from its local currency to its functional currency. Okay? Functional currency. Because yung functional currency niya naman is the same with the parent entity. Okay? So, functional currency is equals to the presentation currency. So, meaning, iba yung local currency niya sa functional currency. So, if we have the example, ayan, applicable naman to sa Japanese yen. Take note, class, that under your temporal method, importante dito na alam natin yung classification ng monetary assets and monetary liability. Okay? Kasi iba-iba yung rate na gagamitin mo dyan sa monetary asset and monetary liability mo. So medyo matrabaho pag temporal method yung gagawin mo na presentation, na translation, no, ng financial statements mo. Always remember, basta monetary, since fixed or determinable units of foreign currency yung nababayad natin or nare-receive natin, always closing rate siya, the rate existing at the statement of financial position date. We have your non-monetary assets and non-monetary liabilities always at historical rate, but except if natatandaan nyo yung discussion natin, inintroduce ko to sa foreign currency transactions. Okay? Except those non-monetary items which are measured at fair value. Okay? Kasi ito, kailangan mo talaga siyang i-update yung fair value niya. So, historical rate is not relevant kapag yung non-monetary asset mo or non-monetary liability mo is at fair value. Okay? So, may connection pa din siya dun sa diniscuss natin sa forex transaction. Okay? General rule for income and expenses, always exchange rate at the date of transaction or average rate. But we're asked to be parallel kung yung non-monetary item na asset and liability has a related income and expense. The income and expense will be translated using the rate used sa kanyang related na non-monetary asset and non-monetary liability. Anong ibig sabihin ko? Anong ibig sabihin? Yung income and expenses, na related sa non-monetary item, for example, property, plant, and equipment, ano yung related kay property, plant, and equipment na expense? Diba? Depreciation. Okay? So, related silang dalawa kasi wala kang depreciation expense kapag wala ka namang property, plant, and equipment. So, since property, plant, and equipment is non-monetary, yung gagamitin mo class is historical rate. Kasi nga non-monetary assets siya. Therefore, pag ita-translate mo na sa depreciation, since related siya sa non-monetary item, yung depreciation mo ay itra-translate mo din using the historical rate. Okay? So, you need to follow lang kung meron siyang related na non-monetary item. Take note of that, no? Pag gagamit tayo or gumagamit tayo ng temporal method. So, parallel siya. Income and expense na related sa non-monetary item, same rate na i-apply doon sa kanyang related na non-monetary asset. And of course, always naman, yung share capital mo at share premium ay na sa historical rate or rate at the date of issuance. To continue, use this as a guide when you are computing for the what we so-called remeasurement gain or loss. Okay? If sa current rate method class, yung ating gain or loss is called as translation gain or loss or the cumulative translation adjustment, which is part of your equity component siya. Dito sa temporal method, since nagre-remeasure tayo at may determination talaga ng monetary and non-monetary item, yung ating gain or loss is what we call as remeasurement gain or loss, which is recognized in your profit or loss. Okay? So to properly compute for the remeasurement gain or loss, what you are just going to do is to start with the retained earnings beginning and you compute the translated net income, which is translated income minus expenses. Kasi dyan natin mas masisimplify yung computation natin ng remeasurement gain or loss. Kasi imimit natin siya. Pag sinabi kong imimit, from retained earnings ending, imimit natin siya dito para makuha natin yung ating remeasurement gain or loss. Kaya in-emphasize ko dito na nag-start tayo sa ending natin, no, na retained earnings kasi kailangan natin siyang i-start dito para mas ma-simplify natin yung computation. Take note that under temporal method, mas okay na unahin mo yung pag-translate ng assets, less translated liabilities, share capital, and share premium. Okay? So yung retained earnings mo dito, yan yung magiging retained earnings na balancing figure mo. Kasi kailangan mo siya doon sa remeasurement gain or loss mo sa pag-determine sa net income before and after remeasurement. Okay? So nag-work back tayo from retained earnings ending plus dividends, exchange rate at the date of declaration pa din, minus retained earnings beginning historical rate. Okay? So yung ating result dito, pag na-start ka sa ilalim na retained earnings ending up until the retained earnings beginning, if mapapansin mo, if alam mo yung analysis mo, yung kulang na item dyan, yung result niya is yung net income mo. 'Di ba? So net income, 'di ba? Diyan natin ina-add sa retained earnings beginning. But because nag-work back tayo, nag-squeeze, yung retained earnings retained earnings beginning ay minus natin, yung dividends in-add natin para makuha natin yung missing figure which is your net income. But take note class, under the temporal method, yung net income na to is considered as net income after remeasurement. Okay. Kasi hindi natin alam kung Ito ba talaga yung net income kapag tinranslate mo si income minus expenses? Kaya sabi ko, dapat mag-meet tayo dyan, no? From this accounts, from retained earnings ending until the translated income less expenses. Okay? So, ito na yung after remeasurement mo. Meaning, pag sinabing after remeasurement class, meron ka ng remeasurement gain or loss dyan. Kasi after remeasurement. Alright? So, paano mo naman makukuha yung before remeasurement? Siyempre, kung may net income after remeasurement, meron kang net income before remeasurement. Kasi nga may after ka na, diba? So, meaning, para makuha mo yung net income after remeasurement, either may inad ka sa iyong net income before remeasurement or may dineduct. Your net income before measurement, ito yung ating translated income minus expenses. And if there is a difference between your net income before and after remeasurement, yan na yung tinatawag mo na remeasurement gain or loss. Okay? If yung before remeasurement, yung much higher, mas higher siya sa after remeasurement, meron kang remeasurement loss. Okay? Kasi, kailangan mo mag-deduct. Kasi mas mababa yung after remeasurement mo, di ba? Pag yung before remeasurement is lesser than the after remeasurement, meron ka namang remeasurement gain. So ito yung tatandaan mo since yung sa taas mo na remeasurement before, mas mababa siya compared sa after. So para makuha mo yung after, kailangan mo mag-add sa before remeasurement. Okay? Ito lang yung gagamitin natin, no? Para mas ma-simplify natin yung ating computation. Importante nakalatag siya ng maayos when we are computing. Anyway, we will discuss in detail naman sa ating example. So, since ito ay part na siya ng computation sa income statement, it is also a separate line item in the income statement. Okay? Yung iyong temporal method. There is another instance class of a temporal method. Okay? Ano naman yung other instance natin? If the functional currency, hindi siya yung local currency ng entity na yon, and hindi din siya yung currency ng parent. Meaning iba pa, may iba pa siyang currency. Yung functional currency niya is hindi yung local currency niya at hindi yung currency ng parent. Therefore, that is what we call as your third currency. If we go back to the previous example, if yung local currency niya is Korean won, yung functional currency niya ay hindi Korean won, okay? At hindi yung sa parent, yung kanyang functional currency, meaning may other pa na currency, which is the third currency, yung tinatawag natin. So, functional currency, for example, US dollars. So, USD siya. Then, class, yung kanyang parent entity is Philippines, for example. So, therefore, yung kanyang presentation currency will be in pesos. Okay? Yan yung dapat nating tandaan pag nasa other instance tayo ng temporal method. So, ito yung isang example ko. Applicable naman siya sa Japanese yen. So, yung functional currency, hindi siya yung local currency at presentation currency. No? Third currency yung tawag doon. So, for example, the Japanese company, yung most of its operations are influenced by the US company, therefore, or the US regulatory forces or competitive market forces ng US, the functional currency is in US dollars. But the presentation currency is Philippine peso. So, the temporal method class, yung method lang na gagamitin mo dito is yung translation na ginamit natin sa temporal method sa first scenario plus yung current method natin. Therefore, kailangan mo munang i-remeasure from LCU to functional currency. So based on this example, kailangan ka munang mag-remeasure from yen to US dollars, no? Pag nag-remeasure ka, you will use your temporal method na nasa first instance natin na may determination ng monetary and non-monetary. So medyo mas matrabaho to kasi from remeasurement from yen to USD, after that, mag-translate ka na. So this is RM, meaning remeasurement using the temporal method. From functional currency to peso, mag-translate dyan. Dapat to siya sa peso. Okay. From functional currency to peso, you apply your translation. Okay? Magta-translate ka using the current method. Therefore, pag nanditong point ka, importante yung pag-classify ng monetary and non-monetary. Kasi nagre-remeasure ka dito eh. Alright? Pero pag ditong portion ka, current rate na gagamitin mo for your assets and liabilities because nagta-translate ka na from your third currency na USD, which is the functional currency, to your Philippine peso. Okay? So, combination siya ng dalawang method na diniscuss natin sa previous slides. Okay? So, to appreciate all the concepts that we have learned in the previous slides, let us now discuss this problem. Okay. So, yung requirement lang naman dito is we translate the trial balance of Philippine pesos and presentation currency. So, pag walang sinabing method class, yung default method natin, na nakastate naman yung sa PS21, is the current rate method. Okay. Kapag temporal method, sasabihin ng problem based sa scenario. No? So, for example, sinabi ng scenario na yung kanyang functional currency is the same as the local currency. So therefore, you will use your temporal method. Okay, but if silent ang problem, always current rate method. So given here, no, kailangan natin mag-translate kasi i-consolidate yan with our parent company. So hindi pwede na naka-foreign currency or naka-Korean won yung financial statements mo at i-consolidate mo lang siya or i-combine mo lang siya doon sa Philippine peso na parent. Okay, so we will answer this problem. We'll translate the trial balance of Philippine peso presentation currency and determine the translation gain or loss. Okay, by concept, all income and expenses will be translated at the exchange rate on the date of transaction. But for practical reasons, based on the problem, our average rate is 52. So, straightforward siya kasi hindi mo kailangan mag-determine kung meron ba siyang related na monetary and non-monetary na asset or liability. So, all of the income and expenses will be translated using your average rate. So, based on our computation here, we arrive at a translated net income of 650,000 pesos. So, saan natin siya ilalagay after this one? So, kapag nakuha na natin yung translated natin na net income, always remember that we will carry forward it to our retained earnings. No, yung basic concept natin sa retained earnings. Okay, computation of retained earnings. Since may net income na tayo, lalagay natin siya sa an addition sa ating retained earnings beginning. Your dividends, based on the problem, no, yung kanyang exchange rate at the date of declaration is 53. The retained earnings beginning class is given na. Pero pag hindi given, sabi ko, pwede kang gumamit ng historical rate sa pag-translate. And since this is retained earnings ending, doon natin siya ilalagay sa ating statement of financial position para makuha na natin yung translation gain or loss. So, mas straightforward siya, di ba? Pag current rate method, mas madali siya. Okay? Since madali siya, You don't need to classify your assets and liabilities as monetary and non-monetary. Okay, therefore, you translate all assets and liabilities using the current rate or the closing rate existing at the statement of financial position date. So, diretso ka, straightforward ka lang. Retained earnings, saan galing to? Doon sa ating computation. May separate computation tayo sa retained earnings. And kahit anong method, si ordinary shares, we use the historical rate or the rate at the date of its issuance. So notice that after translation, our translated asset resulted to 11,550,000 and your shareholders equity and liabilities and shareholders equity resulted to 10,777,500. Our cumulative translation adjustment is a balancing figure, so get lang the difference between these two. We come up with 772,500 pesos credit, no? Cumulative translation adjustment. So para mag-equal yung ating translated assets sa translated liabilities and shareholders equity. Okay? So that's current rate method. Mas straightforward siya. Next problem. Let us get the details, no? The important details. Nag-acquire siya ng 100% interest in ABC company based in Japan. Yung kanyang functional currency and presentation currency is peso. So, if this is now the indication, no, na yung kanyang functional currency and presentation currency is the same, what is local currency is in Japanese yen, therefore, you will use na your temporal methods. As you can see, ito, normally, madaming rates na given yan. Yung average rate mo normally, naka fourth quarter, naka average for the year. Okay. Let's discuss first the problem para malaman na natin kung ano yung mga important details. Since na ito ay temporal method, kailangan may classification ng monetary and non-monetary. Ordinary shares issued on January 1, 20X2. Okay. So this is your ordinary shares. So historical rate naman siya always, di ba? Sales and expenses were incurred evenly. So ito yung isang reason din kung bakit tayo gumagamit ng average rate is because naka-incurred evenly during the year tayo. Alright? The company uses the FIFO inventory costing method. So pag first in, first out, so yung anong pinurchase natin is una nating ibebenta. So, very ano yan class, very important yan later on kasi yan din yung mag-determine ng ating exchange rate sa inventory. And the inventory mo was acquired in the last quarter of the year. So, yung natitira daw na balance ng ending inventory class was acquired on the last quarter. Meron tayong given na ng translated amount ng retained earnings beginning. Beginning inventory in foreign currency units is given at 120,000 yen. Nilagyan din natin kung kailan pinurchase yung equipment at yung ating land. Okay. So, ayan, nakastate siya. Since non-monetary to, importante na nakastate yung date nila, di ba? So, historical rate siya. Meaning, kung kailan siya pinurchase at kung ano yung exchange rate existing on the date of purchase, yun yung gagamitin mo sa pag-translate. Our dividends were declared on December 1. So, importante din to kasi dividends are translated using the exchange rate at the date of declaration. Statement of financial position yung uunahin natin, class. Right? You first translate all your assets. And it's very important that you classify. So, ito medyo matrabaho nga siya kasi kailangan mo mag-determine ng monetary and non-monetary. First, all monetary, current rate siya. Sabi ko sa inventory kanina, pertaining siya sa last quarter. And always remember, pag ganyan yung instance, since inventory is related to the computation of purchases, mas appropriate na gagamitin mo si fourth quarter na average rate. Diba yan? Sa ating problem, yung average natin for the fourth quarter is 0.49. Kasi sabi sa problem, si inventory ay na-purchase sa last quarter ng taon. Which is yung last quarter ng taon is fourth quarter. So it's more logical to use inventory, use average rate on the fourth quarter sa inventory natin. Next class is your land and equipment. Si land and equipment, yung pagbabasihan natin na exchange rate is yung exchange rate natin on the date of purchase niya, historical rate. So si land was purchased on January 1. So therefore, we will use your 0.40 and your equipment, we will use your 0.44 since it was acquired on January 5. Accounts and notes payable are monetary in nature. So we will use the closing rate or the current rate of 0.51. Ordinary shares always at historical together with your share premium. Okay, so kapag na-compute mo na yung total assets mo and then plus yung apat na to, you get the difference between these two, yung translated assets mo versus the liabilities and share ordinary shares and share premium, the balancing figure is your retained earnings. So napapansin nyo, wala kang translation gain or loss dyan kasi dun siya sa remeasurement gain or loss, sa profit or loss, since this is temporal method. So para magbalanse, kailangan mong maglagay ng balancing figure which is the ending retained earnings. So take note, ito na yung ending ha. So importante again si ending kasi kailangan natin siya dito sa ating income statement. Okay? So andito siya, di ba? Ito yung kinompute natin kanina. Dito siya nagsa-start. Ito yung sinasabi ko na nag-work back tayo. From retained earnings ending, mag-a-add ka, work back ha. Ito nga may arrow ako dyan na nilagay, di ba? Ayan, pag ganyan siya. Work back ka plus retained earnings ending plus dividends minus, okay, pag nag-work back ka, so ito ay plus, ito ay minus. Yung result ng tatlong to, ito na yung sinasabi ko na net income after remeasurement. Okay? Ito na yung net income after remeasurement mo. Meaning, ito yung brought forward sa retained earnings computation mo. Yung 255,900. So, bakit ko siya inuna dito? Kasi para mas ma-understand natin na merong net income before and after remeasurement pag temporal method. So, dito sila magmi-meet ha. Ito yung meeting point nila, yung remeasurement gain or loss natin. So, since natapos na natin yung sa baba, yung sa taas naman, no? Siyempre, pag ganun siya, kasi magmi-meet yan sila sa net income after remeasurement. So, si sales, always remember, pag wala namang other rates na given sa sales natin, incurred evenly naman siya, use the average rate for the year. Si cost of sales, may iba-ibang component siya. So, ito sa difference niya with current rate. Si current rate method, diretso naman si cost of sales sa average rate. Pero dito, since because inventory is non-monetary in nature, and normally may mga methods ka na applicable ka inventory, kailangan mo talagang isa-isahin din yung sa cost of sales mo. So, yung 277,400 mo dito, class. Beginning inventory, historical rate naman talaga yon, so 0.40. Net purchases, normally it's incurred evenly, so you will use your average rate. Your total goods available for sale is 326. Sabi, di ba, ending inventory is purchase on the last quarter of the year. So therefore, you will use the average rate for the fourth quarter, which is 49,000. Kaya na-come up ka sa 277,400 na cost of sales. Depreciation expense, dapat pareho siya doon sa ating equipment. Equipment lang naman yung nade-depreciate, di ba? Yung land, wala, hindi naman siya nag-depreciate. So, 0.44 yung rate ng iyong equipment. Other expenses and tax expense, wala namang other details. So, pwede na yung average rate mo na 0.48. After that, nakakome up ka ng net income before the measurement na 361,800. Okay, so anong sabi ko kanina? Pag mas mataas yung net income before kaysa sa after, meron kang loss. Kasi meaning, may dineduct ka, no? So, mas mataas yung net income before remeasurement mo compared sa net income after remeasurement mo. Kaya, kapag nakikita nyo, yung result natin dyan is loss. Kasi mas mataas yung before kesa sa after. Alright? So, always remember lang class to follow the concept, no? Always principle lang for us to fully understand, no? Kapag pumunta tayo sa computation part, very important talaga yun class, no? Yung concept. Kasi kapag you are holding on to the concept, no, hindi ka talaga malulost when you're answering your problem. Okay? So that ends our discussion on foreign currency translation. Thank you guys and see you on the next video.